Come on.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. So thanks, everyone, for joining us at the music panel for the 140 conference today. Thank you especially, Jeff, for hosting us here. Today, we're going to focus on how the music industry is using Twitter to build brands. I'm going to ask our 4 panelists to head out and join us. The hashtag for our panel is music140. Definitely, please feel free to send questions through. I'll try to keep an eye on that throughout the panel. So I'm Leslie Hall with Iced Media, a digital marketing agency that I co-founded about 11 years ago, and I've been very fortunate in my career to work with the folks that we have as our panelists today. Our first panelist here is Power 105 morning show personality Angela Yee. We've got Xavier Jernigan from Sony Music. We've got DJ Khaled, platinum-selling artist and entrepreneur. His album, We the Best Forever, on Cash Money will be in stores July 19th. Welcome, Khaled.
It's on Cash Money Records. Shout out to Cash Money.
And we've got Vernon Brown, an attorney and a professor of law at Pace University. And Vernon plays a key role in the careers of leading sports and music professionals, including his big client, Cash Money, who has some of the largest artists with huge followings on Twitter. So our first question today is going to be for DJ Khaled. Anyone that follows him probably hears this a lot. But Khaled, what sneakers are you wearing for no reason today? And can you tell us what that's about?
Today I got the classic Shell Tour Adidas. On Twitter, daily I actually tweet my sneakers, and I put this is how I'm feeling, and I put in parentheses for no reason. And because I'm a sneaker collector and I love sneakers, and all my supporters and my followers on Twitter, they're sneaker lovers too. So we go back and forth showing our sneaks and kicks and exclusives. So today I got the Adidas clean white ones,
Wonderful. Question for Angela. As a radio personality, you've really done a great job transitioning from Sirius satellite radio to the morning show here at Power 105 in New York, and really becoming a celebrity host in your own right. And how would you say your heavy activity on Twitter has really contributed to the successful path your career has taken?
Well, I think that I definitely use my Twitter for work. Like a lot of times if we're discussing a topic or we're having a guest come on the show, I'll write about it on Twitter, and then a whole bunch of people will hit me back. Also, another thing that we do is whenever I'm interviewing somebody, I might look at their Twitter page, and then I can see exactly what they're interested in, what they've been talking about for the past couple of weeks, what they have going on. And that really helps feel like you know somebody personally.
That's great. And it sounds like you've really talked about building your following, and Xavier, from the record company perspective. In this age of social media, is it a mandate for artists to be on Twitter? Is it a requirement of the label?
I wouldn't say it's a requirement, but once you get signed, a big misnomer is that once you get signed, the label is just going to take you and just run with you from that point. But a lot of times, if it's the artist and they're smart, they'll connect with their fans and basically cut out the label as the middle person or the middleman to talk directly to their fans and build that connection like Khaled was talking about. He has a special connection with his fans, and they have a special language that they develop. And a lot of times, you can get signed, especially if you're an artist that's totally new to the world. If you build your followers and you just jump up to 500,000 followers, you can jump to the front of the line at the label and just kind of wave your hand as like the next artist that needs to come out because the fans are demanding you. So you can choose not to be on Twitter, and I think it works for some artists of a certain stature where you maintain a certain mystique. But if you really want to jump to the forefront and you're a new artist, I would recommend it.
So up-and-coming artists, take note, get on Twitter, build your following.
And unsigned artists too, for sure.
Great. And Khaled, you're obviously a tremendously successful recording artist, but you don't necessarily have the traditional background that we oftentimes see with singers or rappers. And what role would you say that your activity on Twitter, as well as your digital promotion in general, has really played in your success?
It's played a big part because, to be an artist and, you get a chance to tell them, your release dates and, if you got something that's coming out, or, you could show twit pics of your video shoots, or, you actually working in the studio. It builds a connection with the supporter and with the artist, so, they feel a part of the project, especially if they loving your music and loving what you do. And then I'm on it every day, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm letting you know, when my album's coming out, from when my singles is on iTunes, or if I'm in the studio with Birdman, I'm twit picking. If he might be counting $1 million, I might take a picture of that. You know what I'm saying? And just show the fans that what we talk about in our music is also the truth, and I get a chance to show them. And then, with the retweet going on and different celebrities retweeting, and it's just it's great.
That's great. And Vernon, you play a key role really in the careers of some of the most followed artists on Twitter, as well as some of the most commercially successful artists, such as Lil Wayne, Drake, Nicki Minaj. And I'm interested to hear, obviously those artists have a lot of opportunity beyond music to work with corporate brands as endorsers and spokespeople. And I'm wondering, does the large following they have on Twitter really contribute to their value to brands, or could it potentially be a liability that they might put something out there that's off-brand or not really corporate friendly?
I think that's an excellent question. I think first and foremost, most brands do not think about the liability first. They think about the asset first. Absolutely. The liability is only something you think later on down the line as what if that would have happened. The asset is tremendous. I would probably say that every time I'm sitting in a room, or probably anyone in my position sitting in a room, and they're discussing anything from merchandising, sneaker deals, fragrance deals, you name it, one of the first things that come up is how popular, what are their Facebook following, what are their Twitter following, and what that translates to is how much money I have to offer them for a deal. So, I don't look at it from the standpoint of how many followers they're having, because Khaled's one of the best marketing people I've ever seen. In fact, I remember calling up Baby one day and saying I was in 3 states on 3 separate days and happened to be in a car with a radio on it, and I heard him live on the radio station in each of those states. So I was wondering what his schedule was like, because it was amazing to have that happen. So I think those are the things that make us and command the dollars for those individuals as far as their value to the brands.
So it really does translate more followers, more value.
Absolutely. It's one of the major things and one of the key components I think that everyone's looking at now. And 2 years ago, no one's even talking about it. Now it's one of the key components.
That's great. And I have a question that I really want each of you individually to answer, because I'm really interested in hearing this as well. Would you say Twitter's a viable channel for up-and-coming artists to get your attention personally, again, for each of you individually, and contact you about business opportunities?
What I learned, every brand or artist, has a team and its management. For some reason, if they don't get through the management or the person that's supposed to get you the message, it cuts out the middleman on Twitter, because they can actually go direct. And you might have somebody that you're not noticing on Twitter that will actually tweet you 5 million times until you actually notice it. You know what I'm saying? And if you actually follow them, they can actually direct message you. So they might tell you some personal stuff, and then I'd be like, Jay, that deals with my road management stuff, like, yo, you didn't tell me about this big gig that somebody's offering me some money. He goes, oh, no, I was gonna get to it. You know what I'm saying? But it's just, it's good, and sometimes it can catch you off guard, because there's people that you have to go through certain channels and respect their positions, but it definitely cuts out the middleman on Twitter.
So it sounds like, Khaled, for you almost encourage this behavior, that you are actually, not
Let's be clear.
overly much, not overly contacting you, but that it is a way for people to get on your radar.
I mean, definitely, and not just that, being a businessman and an artist, and and executive. It's just, I learn because I'm talking to millions of people at one time, and I learn to see what they want. Like Vernon was saying, like, you know, it's a special thing, you know what I'm saying? They wasn't talking about this 2 years ago, and now all they're talking about is Twitter, Twitter, Twitter. And I said to myself that I would never get on Twitter, and I ended up being like, I can't. I'm looking at Twitter right now.
You ended up on this panel today as a Twitter expert.
Yeah, like I'm Twitter all the way. You feel me?
That's great to hear. What about you, Vernon?
I think that it has changed over that 2-year period. Probably a year and a half ago, I think it was way more accessibility as far as getting through to people like a Cali as far as that message. But now today, with the volume of people, I think that it's probably not as effective as it might have been before. Because, you know, unless you are tremendously, constantly that person that's just won't give up and you just keep on doing it constantly, in which case it can be a turnoff for some people. I think that it might get lost nowadays because it's just so many people trying to get to it. So I don't see it as being as effective now as it might have been, you know, I'm not talking many years ago, like 6 months to a year ago.
So too much clutter now. And
I don't want
Xavier?
to be hit up like that. It can come off as stalking. Like, I don't want to see my whole timeline filled with like the same person just trying to get my attention. I think that can be too much, and I think there are other ways like to get your music heard and build a following on your own rather than just like bombard certain people you see on Twitter. Like personally, I'm not on Twitter just to, you know, I'm behind the scenes, so I'm not on Twitter. Really, like, I don't put that in my bio, what I do, and, you know, some people put the label they work for. I don't do that. I just go on there, put out my personal thoughts, and I retweet some stuff about my artists or just music that I'm into or other things. So I really don't want to be hit up that way.
I think that's really interesting to hear. And Angela, I mean, I think some people would consider you almost a gatekeeper, you know, being at Power 105 on the morning show. And obviously a lot of artists out there are probably trying to get your attention in terms of getting airplay. How do you handle that?
Well, first off, I tell them that I have nothing to do with what songs go on the radio. Thank God, because I don't want anything to do with that. But I do feel like it's effective for an artist that has somewhat of a buzz already in other ways. Like, I've already seen some of their stuff a little bit, but maybe I'm not that familiar with them. So maybe if they send me something, I'm like, okay, I've heard of this person. Let me go check out the link they sent me. But I get hundreds of links every day from people like, hey, check this out, or hey, watch my video. So it's not like I'm going to spend time going and checking out everybody's link. But if you manage to build up a little bit of a buzz for yourself, if I've seen maybe, you know, you in a magazine as a next up-and-coming person, if I've heard about you from somebody else already, if I've met you in person at an event and we spoke and had a little back and forth and you tweet me and you say, oh, you know, I met you at such and such, here's a song that I wanted to share with you or whatever, I might check it out. But if you just cold hit me on Twitter and I've never heard of you and I have no idea who you are, I probably am not going to look at it.
So it sounds like what we're hearing from you and Xavier in terms of his response before is, you know, really for up-and-coming artists, the most important thing is organically building their following and not really using it as a vehicle to get on the radar of established folks in the industry.
Yes.
A question coming in from our hashtag music140, feel free to use it. The importance of being verified, and maybe we'll give this to Xavier to start out with, being that he's on the corporate side.
I mean, it just basically lets the people know that from Twitter standpoint, like that person is who they say they are. Like that way, Khaled doesn't have to take another one like the real DJ Khaled because somebody else snatched it up. You know, I see people following people when they like retweet stuff and it's not even really that person. Like people retweet like Dave Chappelle all the time and that's not Dave Chappelle. Right. So it's just funny, like, and it's important. So like on the artist side, on label side, we really try to go in and get it verified by Twitter so you know you're following the real person.
I'm not verified on Twitter.
Maybe Xavier can help you,
I got
Angela.
you.
But I kind of feel like, I mean, there's people that are verified that aren't even people. Like my friend's Little Burger on Twitter, and he's verified, and he's a little mini burger, you know, so he's the real Little Burger.
And we're going to take a few questions from the audience. If anyone has, we've got a few minutes left. Yep, go ahead. So the first question was for Vernon, and that's, it sounds like any sort of kind of legal guidance for artists as they're tweeting?
Legal guidance coming from?
Coming from you or the perspective of the corporation, the executive, the industry.
Providing it to the artists?
Providing your artist with guidance in terms of what they should say or what they shouldn't say for any potential legal ramifications.
In all honesty, I can't think of too many other attorneys or any of them that I know that really get into it. We tend to get involved when the fire is starting to burn because you can't monitor. It's impossible. And to sit everyone down prior to something, I mean, it's given that if someone signs a deal and they're going to endorse, i.e. a sneaker brand, we always will discuss the fact of their obligation on how they should wear, how many times they can't wear competing brands, and therefore they should not be seen publicly or say anything. That's a given. But outside of that, you really can't get into all the various possibilities of something someone can tweet that could come back to, become a liability.
And we're going to let Xavier chime in on that.
A new legal issue, I just read about this the other day, is about TwitPic. And in that long agreement thing that you click agree on when you sign up to use the app, TwitPic is now saying they own all those pictures and they can sell them for the artists or whatever. So I think that's going to be a bigger issue, and Ellen DeGeneres just jumped off of TwitPic as a result of that. So
I'm sure Khaled and all of Vernon's artists are next.
Yeah, so like all those pictures you tweeted out, they're saying we own these and we can resell them for whatever we want and use them however we want. So I think that's going to be a new legal issue we see and hear more about.
Okay, we're running out of time. Just quickly for that last question, Khaled, how do we know when you're tweeting, I see you're wearing Adidas, for example, that it's not because you're an endorser for that brand and that you actually chose those sneakers today organically?
Well, all my tweets are genuine. I keep it real on Twitter. I don't have a deal with Adidas. I don't have a deal with Nike. I usually wear only Nike. Today I got my Adidas suit on. But I always pick my Jordans and all that, so if anybody here from Jordan or Nike, I would love to be endorsed by y'all. Because I definitely promote every day.
And I will do the deal for it right now.
Yeah, do the deal for me. We'll close it.
We'll work that out.
You know what I'm saying? But all my tweets are genuine, and even when I'm promoting my album date or my artist dates and my records on iTunes, it's also being genuine because it's my music, it's my passion, and it's something I do every day. And that is that the supporters on my timeline, most of them are supporters and they listen to my music. So it's my job to keep them up to date with exclusives and all that good stuff,
That's wonderful. So I think we're just about out of time, but I would love if we could get a big round of applause for our wonderful panelists today.